Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shitty clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. FOMO's gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload.
Good afternoon, guys. How's it going? I hope you're having an awesome day today. Okay, so today we took an SFP trade. We're going to go over it really quick in detail. We're still yet there. We still need to hit our target. We have a lot of confluence of resistance at our target, so we got to prepare for a potential exit plan there and not just assume that we're going to get the break. So if we get any form of reversal structure here, I'm getting out. Whether it be a sweep of this high here on the 5-minute or an opposing change of character after hitting the VWAP and losing momentum. But yeah, let's zoom out. I'll talk about it here, and then we'll go through. If you're late to the party, there's still a very good setup here. But yeah, how you guys doing? You had a great day so far? What we got in the chat? We got Box. I saw you guys racing towards the last live. Kind of failed to connect, so I quickly get it all fixed. Noah, how you doing, man? Sterling, Coma. Jason's channel. How you doing, man? Moa-san. Yeah, Moa-san. We got Duwan. Happy New Year, man. Ramis. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, it's just a lack of sleep, so I just needed to wake up. I had some, my equivalent to coffee in the morning, and yeah, just got ready. But yeah, so we were preparing for a long here since, I guess, yesterday. We had a 46-day, we had the 46-day Valley area high here. It's actually about 50 days now. We broke out. We got to prepare for a really bad bearish case scenario, but we're just taking the quick little scalp for the potential bullish case scenario. We could be front running it through this SIP, but we are testing this Valley area high, trying to use it as support. And failure to do so, if we get our stop loss is basically the confirmation point that we're going to be coming down at least to this volume shelf here at 89,700 700 area, where we had consistent resistance here off that volume shelf for like 2 weeks. Used it for great trade setups. Exit plans and entry plans came off of it. But yeah, if we get the bounce that we're aiming for a continuation, then we'll have a more of a macro-based trend, with lots of concerns around, this point of control here at 96.9, where there's a lot of pooled liquidity here for an exit plan that could bring us right back down. But what we're trying to do is to potentially front run that by getting along here off this SFP. But we need to see have happen now that we got this SFP is the break of this high, right? If we break that, we'll have the VWAP confluence. We'll be above the orb, and we have that deviation of the local value area for good confluence for longs. But we'll be watching out for this hourly order block confluence with this point of control that could hit our head off that downtrending momentum and bring us right back down. So if we do get the close above here, this is the next exit plan here, depending on how we react in this area. But we're very hopeful that we just come up and break above this unclaimed high here for that more macro continuation. Otherwise, we're kind of, when you're doing longs up here, you're doing it at very high risk because of that, the fact that we're at a more of a macro valley area high that could bring us down to much lower prices again. So in and out really quickly on the longs, but watch your key levels to help analyze the fact that you could hold those longs. So we got the sweep here on multiple time frames from the 6 minute all the way up to the hourly. After sweeping this low, the technical target is this high with the confluence of the VWAP and the orb high here, and we have a 15-minute order block there as well. But right now we're fighting against this little supply boss first, and the valley area high itself that we were just talking about. Because if we fail to get above this, then we're likely going to get stopped out. So it's a high risk trade. And the SFPs, the way they confirmed such a hairline, 50 cents, at least on the buy bit chart, it was like 50 cents confirmation gap, right? You can barely even see it. But this is a spot where you can prepare for take profits if you see anything that you don't like. Low time frame, we got a hairline, change of character internally. So it's still technically bullish. Just the downside is when you're looking for structure to dictate your exit plan, you don't really get much structure when you're crunched that close to your entry there. Still holding strong in my position. I only risk to lose $100. I've started fresh over again with basically like a $4,500 account. The goal, my intent is to bring it to at least 180,000, but I want to try to get it above that for tax reasons for this year, and just use that money to pay off the house. And the reason why I'm starting over is because I just lent out a bunch of money. Lent out a bunch of money for a little bit of passive income. But I kind of drained my account dry. There we go. That's what we need. Now we're just going to watch this high here. Get some of the Otter gang in here. What's up? Duan, you have cash aside and you're thinking about dollar cost averaging like Ethereum or Solana. Those two are good options if you're going to be dollar cost averaging. When it comes to Solana, right now, it does have a little bit of relative weakness. I'm watching Solana's positioning relative to Bitcoin's because it's looking like it has some weakness. So whenever I see weakness on alts, it does kind of tell you a story that there might be some hidden weakness on Bitcoin as well. So when we get up here, I'm going to be super cautious depending on how Solana and Ethereum are performing. But Ethereum right now is it's just indicated a complete demand zone here. We have the 50-day EMA that we kind of front ran a little bit here. So it's looking good relative to Bitcoin's positioning. It looks bullish relative to its positioning. We just don't have any confirmation structure telling us that we're going to go up like we did with Bitcoin, because we didn't SFP off this. We kind of got to break a structure, but we were awfully close to getting that SFP confirmation. Solana, we're hitting a 252-day value point of control. We spoke about this yesterday, where we're getting acceptance into. Oh, it wasn't yesterday. Sorry, it was a while ago. It's about close to, I think it was a Monday. Getting acceptance into here would likely bring us up to this really strong level of resistance, where I was hopeful for an SFP off that high, but we never got it. But now we're getting below that point of control, which could drive the price right back down. So if you're going to be DCAing Solana, not financial advice, I would begin around 132, where we have this 32-day valley area low. Like, we could deviate a little bit below it, but overall we should be staying around here for a little bit again. But the 144 is the big boss. Like, you want to have that act as a form of support in order for us to see Solana start coming back up to around 163 again. All right, so Bitcoin just mitigated the highs of this. We had that 15-minute order block become mitigated. So if you're in this SFP, you think about taking some off the table. I'm up like $63, not too much, but let's see, 30 seconds not really giving us anything. I've got an SFP in the 30 second, but I'm not going to trust 30-second SFP to dictate my exit plan. I want to see us hold above this value high. Right here. And this previous high is here in lower time frames. Right here. So we need a bounce here. Like close below here would be like an internal change of character, and that would warn you to get out. All right, getting a bit of a bounce now. Is it too late to enter long? It is too. Oh, well, so if you were entered off our SFP conditions from the signal today, it's late based on those conditions. It's way too early based on other conditions, though. So I would recommend, if you're looking for a long, because right now we're in a decision point for our active trade that can make it immediately come against us, right? So that's not a good time to jump into the trade late. In fact, like if you're someone who likes to follow other people's trades, make sure you have a really good understanding of where the invalidation points are, because you could end up jumping in way too late, and sometimes the signal provider will jump in too early, and you could kind of use that as an edge to get a better entry than them. But what I would recommend doing if you're looking for an entry is wait for a 15-minute candle close above here, 92.259, because that would confirm a stronger base move up to 93.6 with some resistance concerns like around here where there's liquidity. But yeah, I'd wait a little bit later, because right now we're in a no trade zone. You kind of have to be in already, in my opinion. Because up here you'd have the VWAP on your side, you'd have the orb on your side, you'd have structure on your side, would have a bullish change of character there, and then we can start seeing us coming up based on like the clairvoyant strategy in the course. We'll be coming up at least to that point of control, and depending on how we behave at that point of control, we can target the value area high. So just taking your target in stages, waiting for those key levels to break. And sometimes those key levels are a good late entry plan based on other strategies. Okay, I'm not liking this so far. I'm gonna take a half off the table. There. So I'm out half. Just gotta let everyone know. Get some for the outer gang there too. All right. All right. I closed half. It might have been a bad decision, but we lost momentum. We absorbed this bullish order block. We got below the value area high again. So I took some off the table. Now that hurts my net R&R for the setup. I'm looking at if I get stopped out, it would be a negative R&R based on the current stop loss. But what I'm looking for, is now I need to have a little bit, hopeful get past this this VWAP here, so I can evolve my net R&R to be a lot higher than the 1 to 2. But if I close up here, it's gonna be below 1 to 2 now. But it's reactional based on all those confluences that we spoke about, right? Mitigation of liquidity, hit an bearish order block, lost momentum, absorbed a bullish order block, or got below the value high, so just being cautious. Let's see. Big Chizzy and the freaking hizzy. Diamond Palm, you remind me of my childhood. I had so many nicknames based on my last name. I know a lot of people do. But yeah, you're saying some that I've heard before. Kyle, there are 2 CME gaps below. They may fill up this week. Yeah. That'd be good confluence for the value high rejection too. Kyle, I need another person's opinion. No problem, man. All right. Good morning, French Toaster. How you doing, man? Someone had to close half the position so the price can turn around again. yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I'm not too confident about it now. You can move your stop loss. If you closed half here, you can move your stop loss maybe below this break of structure strong low here. It's an internal strong low, so it's not as important as this one. At that point, closing half here and getting stopped out here, you're not going to lose money. But I'm happy with what we got so far. Just gotta get the hourly SFP target. Solana, what are you doing, man? Solana, we're below that macro, more macro point of control here. We got. So we didn't get the SFP, we got the break of structure here. Building a potential double bottom neckline for a turn back up. But that's heavily dependent on what we do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, if it closes below its wick level low, and Solana will likely will as well, that'll induce a break of structure that could bring us down to this demand zone. Ethereum, same kind of thing, but I don't see it going that much lower relative to Solana because we got this 50-day EMA that could act as a form of support. So if we do get close below this wick, I think it'd be a short-lived drop. Prepare for a bounce here. Hi Kyle, what's up? How you doing, man? Trip, how you doing, bro? Yeah, looks like we're getting that stronger pullback. Got the internal change of character I was warning about here. So yeah, strong low here. Like, well, a lot could happen, right? That could prevent us from getting stopped out on the remaining amount of the position. Where's our text here? So note here, closed 50%. We get a pull from the low to the high. Our wick confirmation level is in line with golden pocket here at 786. It's our last little barrier that could protect our capital. You can create an ascending double bottom. Even better if we have like this internal SFP sweep of these lows and have that same candle that swept the lows confirm inside the orb again, like this. That would come with good confluence to then come after this unclaimed high, this internal unclaimed high right here. We got 20 some seconds left on that candle to confirm something like that. I'll look at the 3-minute. All right, so there's the SFP kind of structure. So it needs to close above that wick, but preferably if we can get the candle to close with additional confluence up here. A close below this would give us a 30-minute bearish internal change of character. And we got the close below. Lame. 5-minute, we got 3 minutes left on that. But now that we got that internal change of character, we have reasoning to go down a little lower. But here's where I'll be looking for reversal structure. If we don't get it here, then we're very likely going to get stopped out in the remaining amount of position. All right, just tap the 786. Swept this low. One-minute sweep confirm, 2-minute. You can do it. Now this is like example of how you could use the invalidation point for a different entry. So we know that we had an hourly SFP, right? It occurred right here. We swept here. The invalidation point is this wick level here. So you can get in, since we haven't or yet to still hit that technical target, you can get in at the between the confirmation and the invalidation point. It's a lot more common for you to be able to do stuff like that when you have like a daily SFP, like the higher time frame SFPs, like the 4-hour, the 6-hour, the daily SFPs. You can kind of get in on the retracement of the wick. And what some people do is they'll do a lick wick entry if they don't like the R&R after the confirmation. So you can pull a fib from the wick to the body, and you can find yourself like a lick wick zone for a potential entry. Or you can use internal structure like we just did to find a potential zone of interest. Yeah, the last little guardian we have, our capital looks like it's fighting for us pretty good. But see what happens. We could hit our head here. Right, they could induce a pullback. But hopefully we get the acceptance instead. See me gap? Yep, yep. Like I mentioned before earlier, have to stick to the plan. TPRSL, yeah. It's situational though, man. Like you saw how we planned the exit here based on conditions that were met for. If at a point where you feel like, oh, I could short this, it's a good time to say like, oh, maybe I should close some of my long, like based on how close you are to your entry. If this scenario was occurring like up above this VWAP, right? So we got the loss of momentum above the VWAP instead, had the bearish change of character here, up here instead, then I would be thinking, okay, I have the orb, I have the VWAP as a guardian, so maybe I shouldn't close my trade too soon. Or maybe you'll close a smaller portion amount, right? But here we have it, our relative position, we have like a supply zone here, and all the confluence meant for the short. You could protect your capital in scenarios like this. It's better to have a small gain than a loss, right? If you're able to be reactional and repair for a good exit, then I'd take it, in my opinion. But I know what you mean by like, overall analyzing and then closing too soon. If the conditions are there, man, I'd recommend doing it. And you could always re-add that 50% into your trade when, let's say we have like a bullish change of character here and we're still yet to hit that target. So you scalp to free gains by using the same existing setup. Yeah, we're getting our head hit here, kind of expected that. But if we, take this lower low and then get the change of character, then that'd be a scenario where you could, re-add that 50%. You'd be watching the unclaimed high. But if we break that unclaimed high, then we're very likely going to be hitting the technical target for the hourly SFP. And hopefully get above that VWAP. But if we just get a V-shaped recovery, if we go straight up through this, that's not kind of conditions that I would personally add to my position on. I like to see changes of character so I can maybe evolve my stop loss conditioning alongside the add of new capital, right? So if we swept this closed here, I'd evolve the stop loss to here on that, adding to that trade. Closing partial can be initial roll. Yeah, it depends on it could be a part of your intent. Like, if you see that supply zone warning, you can have the intent to prepare to close them off the table if all your rules are met. Kyle, when is the discount code for a membership again? We can maybe do something like that today. If I do something like that today, then I'll just have to make sure I create it after the live. It won't work right away. But yeah, well, I'll think of something by the end of the live here. Well, we'll just we'll do code Bitcoin BTC. Using that code, then we'll do 50% off the first month, so you can get a shot. But yeah, doing a lot of changes soon. I'm excited to get we have a mentorship program that we're working on. Almost done. It'll be included in the membership. We do calls already, 5-6 times a week, but I'm working on something that's more hands-on-y for you guys. There's gonna be homework, guys. There's gonna be homework. All right, we got that good break. Sweet. Okay. Momentum candle. The momentum candle, what you want to see to kind of like, you want to see no wick on either side, really. If you get 3 of them, they're called 3 white knights. And usually they're reversal warnings. Let's go at 15 for a second. Okay, we're good. It's looking good so far. 3 minute. So we respected our golden pocket 786 level to protect our capital. Now we just need to stay inside the orb and break this unclaimed high, right? And then we'll be going right towards our target. Anyone who's late to the party, this was kind of your opportunity to get in on like the 786. But up here is the statistical safer trade. If we wait for a break here, then you use the low, like an internal strong low, but preferably like the actual strong low as your stop loss guard. But if we get an internal strong low around here, you could use that and then get it on the break and then target the point of control with us. We got a 15-minute order block here, or 5 minutes, sorry. Order block ceiling is here. So if we hit our head off this value area high again, oh, my bad. Come down, hit that, or retest. While we're waiting on Bitcoin, I think we can take our eyes off it for a bit. I have it on my other monitor, so if anything comes up, I'll let you guys know. I know there's some people in the chat that are in this trade with me. We did a trade hunting call this morning, and we jump on this together. And I also post it inside the signals here, the scenarios that we're looking for. You know, the SFP, the change of character, or the body close for the drop. We got the SFP. It's just like the most ideal scenario is getting the SFP because it's the front run to the bigger trade up here. But it's also like the higher risk setup. We got a 10-minute order block that just got mitigated. Now it could come down because of that order block that we have here on the 10-minute time frame. You could come down here and test that 5-minute order block for the bounce. For anyone who doesn't know what an order block is, just think of them as a structural conditioning in charts that gives us a warning sign of potential market maker or institutional price action like entries, and that there's a chance of residual buy orders in them or residual sell orders if they're a bearish one. So we use that information to help look for confluence to guide us into longs. In this case, we're not using it to guide us into longs. We're using it to guide us into understanding potential capital guards for our stop loss. I go into the 1 minute. Like the higher the time frame, the stronger they are. Because it doesn't take as much money to induce an order block structure on like a 1 minute time frame versus like the 4 hour, for example. So if you see a 4 hour one, they have more weighted value than like something like the 1 minute one. OT asking, what makes an order block and how do you locate? Okay, I answered that question already, I guess. How you locate them is kind of simple. It's based on 2 candlestick patterns that you're looking for. You tend to want to see like the traditional order block that's more picture perfect is like a doji and then an engulfing candle that closes above the wick, right? And the order block is basically the from above the top of that wick and the below this wick here. So whenever you see that, you got yourself an order block. Here, for example, we have one on the 1 minute that just created. You can barely see the wick level, but here to here, and then we have the impulse move down. It needs to be engulfing past this wick for this to be confirmed. So right here is your order block. So you anticipate residual sell orders here. So if we come up here, it could act as form resistance. The equilibrium point is the halfway point, where usually there's most of the weighted orders are usually above the equilibrium point in most case scenarios. But yeah, that's an order block. They're great for confluence, but they're never something that you should enter in by themselves. It's usually that case with most indicators. All right, we just make that 5 minute order block here. This was the order block I was talking about. So we had this wick level here to here, and then the engulfing candle. So this whole thing was a 5 minute order block. Okay, is there any assets you guys want to take a look at? Nothing really much we can do about Bitcoin right now. We have multiple bullish divergences on lower time frames supporting our trade. Yeah, we got divergence here. Divergence are right here on the 15 minute. How about the hourly? Hourly, we are pretty close. I'd say if we get a close above this body here, that this indicator would tell us that we have divergence. We got a little bit already though. Lower 3 minute. I don't like that posture. Close below this here. We're stopped out. So yeah, one body kind of close below this wick. It's going to stop out the rest of the trade. If we sweep the wick instead, we're fine. Price acceptance below it though, we're not. I gotta replace my stop loss because I didn't adapt to my new balance. Almost done, sorry. There we go, all set up. Okay, let's look at the chat. eGold, Zcash. Yeah, we can do that. What's up, Frenchie? How you doing, man? Zcash, Sui, GST, eGold, Sleeping Giant. Eagle, Sleeping Giant. Okay, that's interesting. Let's take a look. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin's still chugging along. We'll check on that in a moment. I have it open my other monitor. But let's take a peek at Zcash. We have a Zcash chart. Last time I looked at it was on the 5th, so like 2 days ago. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Zcash came, mitigated our first supply zone, had a decent amount of confluence, but broke past that and hit our next area of interest. May have had a lower time frame SFP off that for a good short, like a local one. We can delete this now. We can delete this now. We have a demand zone down here that's heading towards. Zcash also had an SFP just like Bitcoin did. But you'd feel like you're trading on a glass floor with Zcash taking that SFP because of how close it is to that demand. You'd think it'd be tapped first. It's around like, yeah, 472. I'll be looking for longs. If that doesn't work out, then you have another location right after that's likely going to be stronger. But we have that 50-day EMA. We have demand zone here and a slight deviation away from that 22-day value area low. We have a 22-day value area that's based on previous price action. If we zoom out on this thing, it started to get acceptance into this value area range. We got it. Yeah, so if we retest this and we find support here and they get the higher high, then we're going to be going to like 644. We spoke about this already a few times. But here's a good moment to prepare for that potential entry for the break of that unclaimed high here. We have to take it in stages though. Just like we're doing with the SFP trade in hopes for continuations up. Here, you'd want to watch, your bullish change of character, break momentum, and then the value area low potentially acting as resistance. At this point, you can prepare for an exit plan, or prepare for the continuation with the break of structure inside that value area to evolve the target to the local value area high again. And at that point, another stage would be hopefully seeing that value area high, break a structure, support bounce to then take the unclaimed high. So like 3, 4, 5 areas of interest. Yeah, 3 areas of interest that we have to watch that could prevent us from hitting that high there for the strong continuation. But this would be a good spot to potentially front run all that. So I'll be looking super long around here. The SFP that we just had happen, the target for it is right here off this high at $490. And we still have yet to hit that technical target. But it's looking weak right now, just like Bitcoin is. So we're at a big make it or break it moment for this setup. And Zcash's story is probably very similar. It's got a bit of a falling wedge posture, or the stiletto pattern that everyone loves. Right? V-shaped recovery. Slow drop down, which is good for reducing order flow in the form of stop losses and liquidations to help drive the price up. So we're trying to target this high right now in hopes that it breaks for a move up. If you don't trust the SFP, then you can wait for the change character up here, or the break of the strong high. So that's Zcash. I hope that helps you out. I'll save that. I'll mark. This is a key level for anyone who's using the Zcash charts. And then the pathing. Order block, pullback, test. And watch here. Okay. Just catching up to the chat here. We'll look at eGold and SUI. Let's see. JST. I don't think I've done TA on JST before. And Litecoin. Oh, Litecoin's a good one too. Yeah. Litecoin's at a big moment. See cash. SUI. All right. Let's pull up SUI. Zooming out on this thing on the daily. SUI's looking great. Okay, so SUI broke our downtrending momentum here. That's been holding us down for a 53% drop for 80 days. The downtrend was longer than 80 days, but I'm just watching the pace of the sellers ever since we had that massive correction, right, on October 10th, right? And then we retraced a lot of that wick. But to take the whole thing is just insane. So all of this is internal price action, unfortunately, until we break like this high because of that nasty wick. But just treat it like it's not internal and you won't go crazy, I guess. So here was a supply zone. We fought against it for a while here on this daily candle, but then we broke right through it, then hit our head off that point of control at $2.02. That level is not as strong, believe it or not, as this level here that we have drawn at $2.11. So if we do come up here, we could still get another rejection to come back down. It looks like we're trying to get, we broke into this valley area, which acted as a really strong demand zone for this range that we were in for 350 days. So this valley area high is really important for us to get above at 211, but just think of it like a big boss that we had to fight that in order to even think about getting acceptance back inside this 340-day valley area again. Let's zoom back in though. If we can see that you have this red candle here after a doji, there's a good chance that lower time frames will show us the story of a loss of momentum. So we have this fast-paced momentum here, and we're testing it now. We have a bearish change of character, like at this moment right here when we broke this. So either you got in on the SFP with the 0.5 equilibrium point and point of control confluence, or the change of character, but based on this time frame, the confirming candle was really steep. So you'd have to use something lower. Even the 15 minutes a bit rough. Way down here. So I'm not sure if anyone caught that, but if you did, congratulations. If you didn't catch it, then it was the 786 retracement entry here. We have the golden pocket, 786 here. Right on that supply. And now we're coming back down to this neckline for this descending double top that we do not want to close below. If we close below that, then we're likely going to fall down after a loss of this momentum to this demand zone here. And test these previous highs. If we zoom out, a bigger picture stuff too. Yeah, I'm just going to see if this was a test of this high, because sometimes when you hit the test of the previous highs, you kind of want to wait for a close below those highs for acceptance into that range for additional confluence to drive the price down lower faster. So you can mark that wick level, just be aware of it. Previous high magnet here, and you just mark it as local support. But overall, this down here, great confluence for longs on SUI, 50-day EMA, demand zone, previous value area low, and it's like a test to a basically a macro double bottom. So basically the hopes of this area is to accomplish a bounce to take this higher high, unclaimed high here. So right now we're just working on refinement of my level. You could just mark this whole entire zone as an area of interest. If you're trying to refine confluences within that area, it's always good to mark the highs and prepare for a bounce off of it. But if you're looking for specific confluences for your rules to be met, then what you're really you want to see maybe something around here where we have the value area low, 30-minute order block confluence inside that demand zone, and then a bullish change of character in terms of structure for the last little entry condition. So the back. So yeah, here is a great spot to prepare for long. So we can delete this. This has been mitigated. We can mark this level for potential sweeps. But you do not want to have a 15-minute body candle close below this. Otherwise, your pathing will look like this. Probably bounce here and then prepare for longs here. Because we have that strong low though, I could end up seeing us coiling here as well. But SUI depends a lot on what Ethereum does in terms of price action. So Bitcoin has pairing liquidity with Ethereum, and Ethereum has a stupid amount of pairing liquidity with SUI, which I think is all part of SUI's plan to siphon away Ethereum's liquidity. When they built that wormhole in the past, it demolished Ethereum. SUI ended up absorbing a crap ton of Ethereum's market shares. So make sure you have a dual chart set up in a way where you can split your screen like this. One side being SUI, one side being Ethereum if you are a heavy SUI trader. Alright, so that's SUI. Hope that helps you guys out. Bitcoin's got a good tweezer reaction right now as a last hurrah for our capital there. You can delete this. This has been mitigated. If this closed above here, this would have generated an order block, by the way. What do we have left for our requests here? I'll just make sure my Streamlabs is working fine. It is? Alright, cool. Or StreamYards. Or, no, Streamlabs. Yeah, Streamlabs. Sweep the lows, yeah. As long as it doesn't sweep the low. The internal ones are fine. I don't want this one taken. I guess there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't get stopped out. Okay, it's SUI. JS to eGold was another request. EGLD, right? Yeah. We don't have any layouts for eGold. So I just gotta pull it up here. Haven't looked at eGold in a while. Same kind of story as SUI. Since I believe eGold is in price discovery. Yeah, okay. Yeah, eGold's in price discovery based on this chart. It's been in a downtrend 4,500 days. That's rough. It looks like the last time we were looking at E-gold was at this valley area before the October 10th crash. What are we looking at? But E-gold did just get a bullish change of character here. Oh, wait a minute. 1 second. Let me double check that. I think I saw... Oh, no, we're good. Yeah, that's a proper pullback. So, yeah, we flipped bullish here on the daily. Right, this is where what you want to look for is, 2 candle pullback. And then if we take the low, this becomes a strong high. So this is an eternal change of character. And the reason why it's internal is because of that stupid wick. We got a daily order block here. We can delete this as a demand zone. Okay, sorry, just mark it up the charts. We got our downtrending broad momentum here. We have an internal momentum here. Give me like the inverse head and shoulders kind of vibes on E-gold. This pullback here, generating liquidity, but that liquidity was taken from this doji wick. So we did have that bearish SFP. If we zoom in internally on the hourly, looks similar to, is that Sui? Yeah, Sui's kind of looking like that. So it's already at its demand here. We have a hourly order block on the lows. That's 617. Coma is talking about a 800 Bitcoin buy wall at 90,500. Nice. Can't break past that price now until those orders are filled, assuming they don't rug the orders. That's been really common lately, is the spoofing. A lot of manipulation been going on. Starting to lose the more broad momentum. And based on Sui's position against E-gold, like E-gold's already broke its momentum and swept this low. Sui is above it and has some broken momentum. So that tells you that Sui has relative strength over E-gold at the moment. So we come down. Yeah, we can look for a lower time frame bullish change of character off of here, off these highs, and then just be targeting, basically watching this order block and VWAP along the way, and this downtrending internal momentum. If we close below here and get acceptance inside this demand zone, this is going to be an area where I prepare for potential longs again for a bounce. But it's not, I wouldn't call it the long. So right now we have broken bullishly on Bitcoin. I'm not Bitcoin, E-gold in the higher time frames, but we're still below that momentum. And then you got to think of momentum as the pace of the sellers, and we're starting to see the sell pressure come in. We did flip bullish on the daily, which we haven't done throughout this entire price action until now. So here we could get a retrace for that final move to start taking the liquidity from this order flow here, where it kind of starts to go cold after this high is taken. So this would be like the ultimate target if we do like break momentum and finally get the move up. This is where I would prepare your exit plan. And I wouldn't get too married to E-gold going past this point because of that forever downtrend suggests that the tokenomics might be really bearish. I don't know E-gold's tokenomics, but I would look into finding out if it has a like an inflationary system, like if it inflates, has a reward system or anything like that. I believe E-gold's inside the gaming sector, so there's a good chance it has like an emission rate similar to PancakeSwap or Uniswap, and that emission rate it will impact the ability for it to hit its all-time high ever again. So but yeah, the macro target would be $11.45 if we finally break this momentum and start coming up, breaking those key levels. Like a big key level would be based on like the daily structure would be this high here. And it does give you that inverse head and shoulders vibe. So if we're pulling back for a bounce off this demand, then this would be our next area of interest. I'm going back to Bitcoin real quick. See how we're doing. We got the internal S&P on the 5. That 5-minute internal S&P's technical target is our unclaimed high here, because we don't have any proper pullback. It's always the most recent 2-candle pullback, right? And we don't have that until here. So this sweep's target is technically here, which is good for confluence, but it's still not looking strong. I think it's not that much of an adjustment, but if we get above this high, I'll be moving my stop loss below this low. Cal, if we put in enough time every day, how long would it take to become a good trader that can make good money? It depends on what how you do it. So like, I recommend if you're going to be trying to do this on your own, that you would back test every single thing that you're taught. Like I learned 80% of what I know from YouTube, just piece it all together, but you don't know who's lying or who's just saying stuff for clickbait until you back test it. I encourage that all the time. And what I mean by back testing is like basically going through, okay, this guy says like whenever there's a change of character, there's a high probability chance of this happening, right? You can go back in time and back test every single occurrence and actually notate the percentage rate of it's hitting a technical target or it's inducing a certain move and stuff like that. But to answer your question, man, yeah, it's very dependent on how you learn. For me, it took me like 8 months, 6 to 8 months, I believe it was, to get profitable. And even then I was doing things that I shouldn't. Other people I find pick it up really quickly, depending on like how they're learning. Like we have a course that kind of like walks you through it in a 30-day kind of scenario where like day 1, you're starting with the absolute basics, like setting up your accounts, learning what TradingView is. And then by day 30, you learn 5 strategies. And what I find what a lot of people do to get profitable faster is they pick a strategy that they know is already profitable, right? It's already been back tested. And I encourage you to back test it yourself as well, so you can not only verify the truth behind that back test, but also fully comprehend that strategy's limits and entry conditions and stuff like that. Like back testing puts you through years of experience in like a single day. So I definitely recommend back testing everything you learn. And then, yeah, if you're going to pick a strategy, for example, that's one that's already profitable, then you're already kind of like there. It's just a matter of your mindset at that point. I can give you all the tools you need to make you profitable. But if you feel like super cocky because of a win streak, and then you put, you risk your 50% of your account on your stop loss, and you lose that one trade, you can undo months, sometimes a year worth of work by being too greedy. So your mindset's insanely important once you figure this stuff out, because your risk management was the main thing that separates you between a gambler and a trader in this space, even if you have the tools to be profitable by having like a higher percent win rate strategy. But yeah, it's kind of situational, man. Like, but for me, like, I find like a lot of people become profitable after about, I'd say, I don't want to be too optimistic, but like 3 or 4 months if they do it right. If you have the right mentor. But if you're kind of learning on your own, it could take, I've seen some people not become profitable until like 2 or 3 years after figuring this stuff out. I believe there's a strategy for everybody depending on what your lifestyle is, what kind of lifestyle you want. If you're someone who is busy all the time, I usually recommend like swing trading strategies. If you like to travel, like swing trading is good too. We have a coach inside the community who's like a 3rd generation trader. Like his father taught him and his father taught him. His name's David. He does like coaching calls with the community. And he's like a digital nomad. He chooses like swing trading strategy where he maybe only does like 4 or 5 trades a month. But you normally need a larger account size to support yourself and something like that. And there's people who like, trading every single day. They'll pick a scalping based strategy, and like an SFP based strategy is great. Or like a 3-minute Fibonacci strategy. But yeah, the courses, it could be enough. But there are some people that still message me like questions after the course. And those questions actually help me understand what I should be adding to the course. But it could be enough. Afterwards, you can always message me. I'm one message away. Thank you for Eagle. No problem, man. Can we look at ALF today? Yeah, we can. I did offer to look at JST and Litecoin. Litecoin's really important for us to look at too. I might rush that one over GST. I'm sorry about constantly avoiding GST. It's just I never did TA on it, and I worried about it being some kind of, low market cap asset I don't want to lure people towards. But for Litecoin, yeah, we had this expectation of hitting our head up here on the supply with the confluence of the 23-day point of control. Why I am saying that Litecoin's in a really important moment is because if we zoom out on this thing on the daily and we look at this red line here, this is uptrending support connected to the body levels of the daily candles, right? Cutting through basically the wicks. So this is body level support that's been holding up the price action for 2,600 days since December 2018. So very important level, right? Where we can assume support. We obviously don't, limit order on these things because you can have a flash crash like this. But when you have that bullish change of character or a bullish flip like we did here, we had this bullish flip right here. And now we got acceptance into this previous valley area, right after breaking this downtrending momentum that's been keeping it down since at $136. So right now we're at an area where we're kind of coming down towards this demand zone to retest this neckline inside of this valley area with the valley area low confluence. So we have good reasoning to get a decent bounce here. Just waiting for that lower time frame bullish change of character off of this to maybe prepare for the break or target this unclaimed high where this valley area high is right here, in hopes that we get macro continuations from this range. But the big boss is up here. We have a daily order block. Over 50% of the supply becomes in a profit up here. Like a massive amount of supply comes with profit up here. It's been keeping us down. Well, since March 2022. So when we get up there, we got to watch this like a hawk in hopes that it breaks so we have a strong continuation up. I've been hoping for this since August. Basically since we bought Bitcoin at like 16.9K. I've been hoping for this break for Litecoin. I started mining Litecoin, so I'm becoming a little bit more biased, but I've been using TA as a tool to like guide me into getting better sell points instead of just selling immediately like most miners do. So I'm hopeful that we get up there again, hold as much as I can until we get up there. But yeah, overall for Litecoin, this is the good spot to prepare for longs. We got a demand zone, we got a good wick level to prepare for a sweep off of, and our valley area lows here. So I just like wait for the bullish change character and then target this highs in hopes that we get continuations up. We have an hourly order block here, so we can replace this with this one here. So that's Litecoin. Bitcoin's testing that 46-day value high again. Hopefully this doesn't engulf. I don't want a tweezer top. We did flip bullish internally again. So I could be testing this on lower time frames, this neckline here. Right? So we just need to get that higher high. And if we get a close above here, then yeah. Like I said before, I'll be moving my stop loss. Not very far from here to here. Just have a newer invalidation point now. This doesn't technically become the invalidation point, just to be clear, until this high is taken. I'm just front running a little bit from the close of this one. All right, we're getting there. All right, GST was the other request. I haven't checked this one out before. Stands for just. That symbol looks familiar. It's like Norse mythology stuff. Zoom out on the daily. Okay, I haven't done T on this, but this thing looks old. Like I should know about it. 2020. Okay, so we had supply here that was mitigated. We had supply here that was mitigated from this wick up. We had supply here that was mostly mitigated. So any trapped buyers basically in these areas have likely had a large amount of them close around this area. There's massive wick up. So probably sell walls with limit orders that were filled really quickly and then induce a harsh correction. We delete that. We'll mark this high. Maybe in the future we'll get an SFP off that. We have this daily order block here. Zoom out. We have uptrending momentum on the macro. Similar to what we saw with Litecoin, actually. How old is that? That is 938 days. Jeez. So that's legacy support. All right. In terms of value areas, we have a supply here, right? We got the bullish change of character. We'll mark our value area from here to here. We're currently at the value area high, holding the 50-day EMA as support. We got to watch our wick levels up here on JST. So here you can prepare for a bearish sweep, liquidity grab basically, or an SFP. And right now, based on the structure, this is our most recent pullback. This would be the technical target if we do get that sweep. But we could also pull back prior to that moment to give us a different target instead. Breaking these highs, you can expect a pullback before potentially sweeping here. It looks like it's trying to confirm a trend-based move off of this value area high, but that only is confirmed if we get a break of structure after a retest of the value high. And unfortunately, that's way up here. So we need to have a close above this would signify like a potential trend-based move where I'll be watching out here at around we have 5 cents for that daily order block to potentially give us the structural confluence of a rejection to bring us back down, where I would expect this to act as a form of demand to give us support that time around. But right now, this is potentially painting the picture for a correction back down. So we got to prepare for the worst case scenario. Statistically, we're more likely to go down. But based on Bitcoin's positioning, if Bitcoin has more of a macro rally, then this thing's going to go up with it. But after this red box zone, I'd be on high alert for a fast-paced correction. It's a year-long range right here. Nuts. Let's look at low time frame structure. Lower time frame structure. This is the 4 hour coming in from the daily. We have a 4 hour order block here. So additional confluence of a rejection. No proper pullback here, eh? Yeah, you could get look at the hourly time frame. You could get that opposing change character or sweep here, but I don't know, like based on the structure, we might find really strong support here. So I'd mark this as well as local support for now. Where is it? There we go. Jeez. Yeah, so here, sweep, or opposing change of character. Either preferably after taking the high, or if we get a front run change of character, then you can prepare for the bounce here. Go back to Bitcoin. Move this away. There we go. Okay. Now this candle needs to close above that wick and I'll be happy. Who the fuck is this handsome legend? What's up, JR? How you doing, man? Can we look at Elf? We can look at Elf, yeah. getting close. I've got this ascending double bottom neckline here that we need to close above. And we're set. And then the boss is right here. And our hourly SFP target will be hit around that boss fight. It's right here. But to close above that wick will give us a continuation warning, so we can hold this trade a lot longer. And this is where we'll be watching our head again. Almost there. Gonna move my stop loss here, guys. I know it's a small adjustment, but it counts as, I know it doesn't sound small, but even if you adjust your stop loss to your new invalidation point, it's like securing more capital, securing more gains in that sense. Because you never know if we're gonna teleport down with big fat candle, right? Should always prepare for a flash crash. Stop loss. Here we go. Alright, cool. We got the 4-hour SFP as well. The 4-hour target's ridiculous though. It's literally the ultimate, like this 94,000 high here. 94,759. This is the last time we had a proper pullback for that time frame. I keep things grounded. Start with the local target first, then evolve to the macro target after the kilo breaks. You're well, thank you. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks, man. Just soaking up the alpha. Yeah, we went through quite a bit of assets already. Litecoin, Sui, Solana, Ethereum, Zcash, JST. We took an SFP trade on Bitcoin. Now we're just kind of hopeful for, support off this 46-day or 50-day. I gotta adjust that. It's like 50-day value area high. And this is the big boss here. No pullback here on the 1 minute. Yes, okay. Yeah, we got that internal change of character here. So we just need to stay above this, firmly above this wick level. Don't get a body close below here. That'll bring us down to here again. I liked your all-time high indicator data hunting video. Oh yeah, man, I live by that strategy. In the course, we call it the emission strategy because you feel like you're all knowing. You're like preparing for the macro top that way. You think VVV is ready for a scalp long? Let's see. Venice token. We'll look at it on Bybit. I don't like that choppy. Just going to the macro here for a second. The macro bias is definitely long. We flip bullish on the daily here. And we had the bullish flip here, but not the change of character until here. Broke that downtrending internal momentum. And now we're getting this bit of a parabolic curve right here. There's a newly created 200-day EMA on this chart. And we're kind of trying to find support off it right now. So I can see what you mean by a scalp. There could be an opportunity there off that support bounce. We got our value area low marked right here at $2.54. That seems to be the area where we're kind of hunting to go towards right now for Venice, macro wise. But you expect a really strong rejection here again. If we get acceptance into this, then you get a target extension to the value area high. But that point of control, if you look at this volume data, that point of control is insanely strong. So we have to watch out for a rejection there as well. This is a, how old is that? That is 148 days. So there's that. Just go into 15 minute and see what you're talking about. So we have this little demand zone here. Lower time frames, like 5 minute. Yep, 5 minute. And we had the confluence of this demand zone meeting the 200-day EMA. We had a local SFP and then a bullish change of character. So we did flip bullish already. A lot of people would have entered off that condition already with a stop loss below the strong low right here. You initially want to be focusing on getting past this VWAP though. This VWAP comes with the confluence of this supply right here. We have a 10 minute and a 30 minute order block here. Get the 30 minute, it's this guy right here. That'll be mitigated before the VWAP, so we might induce a pullback. Just prepare mentally for that. We have this downtrending momentum that's a little bit more broad. It's also in confluence with the VWAP area, so you got to watch that in case there's limit sell vols here. A big key level that you want to see broken on the 30 minutes up here. What about the 15? I use the 15 minute a lot for her confirmations. I always find that it tends to be a multi-time frame zone. So you'll notice most of my signals come from, require like a 15 minute candle close above or below certain areas. This is our 15 minute zone right now, unless we get a lower low. And then they'll be here. But yeah, good area of confluence. It's just the structure's really ugly right now. We still have that momentum, so if we take any long, you got to prepare for a quick exit plan. I prefer the momentum to be broken and the VWAP to be on our side, but you could also use the VWAP deviation for targeting. And on a 5 minute, yeah, it's a 15 minute. Let's go back to Bitcoin. All right, tested this neckline, buy neckline here on the 5. Now I just need that higher high for that break of structure. Be internal to the internal. So this is the internal. Yeah, so we get that break of structure. It'll be internal to the internal price action, and then yeah, break of this level here is what we need to have happen. You need to clean that VWAP continues for sure. Yeah, you could always take the VWAP deviation setup. It's just it normally requires high amounts of confluence. Can we check Bitcoin Cash too? Yeah, we can do that. We have a Bitcoin Cash chart. We haven't looked at it since December 23rd. Yeah, it looks like we were looking for shorts on around Christmas. We had that, yeah, SFP, then change the character into the demand, strong demand bounce reaction. We delete this though. Let's see. We have this wick level marked here, so let me zoom out on that. So we have this, okay, we have a key level here that we were preparing for a sweep and then come down from there. We didn't get like the 4 hour, what about the 6, no, daily, not even the daily. So we didn't get any SFPs off of that wick, but we had some, like a local one here. All right, we came up, let's delete this. So here we came up, swept this high, got the SFP. We rudely did probably took people out from early entries, then came down. That SFP target would have been here. We got that hit. Now we're kind of below at the bottom of this demand zone. So we have 2 demand zones here that we could watch. One right here on Bitcoin Cash that has a 180-day value area high confluence just below it. Okay, so that's one area of interest. We can see that we have an order block here. I don't think I have my indicator on this, but yeah, I do have an indicator that kind of speeds up me finding these things. But yeah, we have one here. Downturning momentum. Get a little bit of a breach there. And this is the other demand zone that I was talking about right here, which we basically fully mitigated. Like we were using as support here. Then you got acceptance within it. Once you get acceptance within it, you target the opposite side of that demand zone, right? And we kind of wick down pretty low, but we didn't take out this wick level, which we can keep marked on our chart. We can pull a fixed range volume profile from here. Oh, that's too soon. Oh, that's not going to be a big impact. There we go. So we're at our local value area low. We've been ranging here for a total of 4 days. That was a 4-day value area. And for all the clairvoyant rules to be met, we need a change of character, break of momentum, and acceptance in the value area. Unfortunately, that's really high. It's up here. So we can try to front run that with other strategy rules if you have them. Either be a SFP sweep from this low, right? So we get pathing here. You compare for SFP. An SFP here right now, based on the current structure, would recommend a target of this high. So you'd be hopeful for a break of that area if you take the SFP setup. So you can get that continuation and break our key level here to then go for the value area high. which is at 655 right now. So Bitcoin Cash right now in a macro picture is doing something pretty healthy where it's trying to consolidate, reset some oscillators, let old investors get out, new investors to get in. As we will range bound here, the longer we range, the healthier it is for stronger macro continuation for Bitcoin Cash, since it did just break, a valley area that we were ranging within for 183 days. Now the momentum's getting pretty steep. So it keeps evolving. The pace of the buyers keeps speeding up, basically. So what that story kind of tells us. But it becomes eventually unsustainable. So this is an area where you prepare for a macro short back down to the valley area low at 508 if the conditions are met, like a bearish change of character, acceptance into the valley area, mitigation of this demand past the point of control, and then target down here. You can prepare for front runs of that scenario, but then you just have to watch for additional barriers by watching these highs here for sweeps or bearish change of character at the valley area high to potentially front run that break of this area here. Like basically what I'm trying to say is if you don't want it to go down, you do not want this level here broken. Or as it could spell doom and gloom. Because by the time we close below here, we'd have acceptance into this valley area again. Loss of this momentum and loss of this momentum. It does look like it's getting ready for a good setup for longs. Bitcoin is coming back down. Yeah, we didn't really get the full on support bounce off that valley high. So right now it's still acting as resistance. Luckily we mitigate this supply zone here, but it doesn't seem to be enough. We have a small order block here that's tapping into right now. At this point, based on this structure, I think I might be considering taking some off the table if we come right back up to here. And just closing the trade and looking for a new entry condition. Accept the small win. Alrighty, so we looked at Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Sui, Litecoin, Solana, Ethereum, JST, see. We get XRP. Yep. Last time we looked at XRP was on the 2nd. This is the key level that we wanted to have broken up here. It was a flip level, strong area of liquidity, buy side liquidity above this double bottom neckline. We fractalized with a double bottom within a double bottom. It's pretty common. But we just blasted right through all of our key levels of resistance. So here is like the action of acceptance into this valley area right here. So when we broke past this valley area low and hit our head off that point of control and retest the valley area low as support, the moment we got that break of structure is the moment we had acceptance in this valley area and where you begin to target the valley area high right here while being mindful of any barriers, right? In this case, the point of control was on the low side, so we kind of had the confidence of breaking that point of control, so we have to worry about it along the way up. But we did have some volume shelves here to watch out for. And we only really slowed down there for about 12 hours, and then continue to go up. And now we're trying to get acceptance again into this valley area. So this is kind of how you take, when you break this downtrend momentum like this, off like falling wedges or regression trends like this, this is how you take things in stages using valley areas to tell you when we might not reach the technical target, which is way up here, right? So we broke into this valley area now. We're trying to use this valley area high as support. So we find that support and we get that break of structure. We had the confluence of breaking that point control again. Kind of same kind of positioning as here, but the point control is on the upper side. But around here, we'd get that valley area high target at 251 if we broke this point control. To front run that, we can look at low time frame structure. This is the 4 hour, going down to the hourly. What I don't like is the demand is inside of this previous valley area. This is like our demand zone here. We don't want to stay down here too long though. Right here's the volume shelf on this range here. So falling below that gives a fast-paced drop down to here again. If you look at historically how we behave here, really fast-paced moves up and down, right? So we have to watch that area again, because if we close below it, we probably have a fast-paced move down to here. All right, now we're mitigating these fair value gaps because we had a pretty unsustainable pump for XRP. So this is our downtrending momentum. We can mark our hourly bearish order block up here as confluence for shorts, alongside the fact that this is a local high and point of control. So if we have any reversal structure here, we can use that to tell us that we're not going to continue to go up to the valley area high. Our key level right now structurally is here, but we could find someone maybe in the lower time frame. And price action is going to evolve, right? By the time we get down here, we might have that pullback we need to generate a change of character and then start targeting up here. I'll delete that for now, but right here is what we'll be looking for rejections or a close support, then a rejection here. Zooming in on the 15-minute. 15-minute key level is the same as the hourly because we didn't have any proper pullbacks through here or here. So the last proper pullback was here. So unfortunately the 15-minute kind of aligns with the hourly structure too. Unless we get a proper pullback. And we don't have, none here, none here. We need to have 2 consecutive candle pullback, lower low, then take the high. So we can get that change of character confluence. And then we can use the strong low as our stop loss and dramatically reduce your chance of being stopped out. Right now we're being held up by this little guy. That's XRP. And Bitcoin's still chilling. But yeah, guys, I gotta go. I got a call. It's coming up very soon. So I just gotta give myself a little bit of a break. And then I'm gonna go do a call with community. We're working on finishing up a really good SFP strategy. Sorry, I got stuffy nose. We're working on finishing up the SFP strategy that we're going to be automating for signals very soon. It looks to be so far really good. With all the samples that we got, we kind of found a really good solution for high probability SFPs. And it's very mechanical. You just need to know 3 rules. That's it. Alrighty, so yeah, I gotta go. Thanks for everyone who's been liking, subscribing, sharing. where our goal is to get to 25,000 by the end of the year. 25,000 subscribers. I think we can get there. Working on some new cool fun content with Sterling. And yeah. I'll see you guys in the next live. Next live is on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we'll be doing a giveaway for like a $6,000 account from Klein Funding. We did just I'll be turning on a discount code so you guys can try out InvestiShare for 50% off. The code will be BTC, for like the ticker for Bitcoin. And then you can, try us out for 50% off. And I recommend diving into the courses right away. But you can go into the Discord, of course, to like follow any signals or jump into any calls with us if you have any questions outside the course. All right, guys. Have yourself a great day, and thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Bye.